We're excited to be with everybody today and share a little story about Siemens digital industry software. So just quickly, by way of introductions, Jody, if you don't mind, maybe give us a quick intro and then I'll go next.
You bet. Hello, everyone. As Cindy mentioned, Jody Householder, Head of Global Talent Acquisition for Siemens Digital Industry Software. I've held this position now for a little over 5 years, and I do reside here in the greater Portland, Oregon area. Just a fun, interesting fact about myself is I am an ex-engineer by trade, so I am a self-proclaimed geek. I don't know that I actually run into too many engineers turned HR professionals, but that has been my career path and absolutely love it. Therefore, being that geek, I am passionate about technology and the solutions that software can bring to the business. So I'm really excited to tell you our employee referral journey and the partnership that we've got here with EmployeeReferrals.com.
Thank you, Jody. I'm Kevin Nelson, VP here at EmployeeReferrals.com. I've been with the company since 2012. We were incorporated back in 2011. So I've seen just about everything along the road and certainly learned a lot. I think in life we learn from mistakes and failures. And so we've certainly had some of those and really just excited to be a part of our journey to help businesses to really enhance and improve their employee referral program. So without further ado, let's dive in. So first, let's kind of take a step back to November 2016. This is when we really began to work with Jody and her team. So you can kind of see on the screen here, two different images, what Jody and her team wanted and or what they had and what they wanted. So Jody, just kind of give us a lay of the land here. Tell us a little bit about what you were experiencing back in 2016 and how the employer referral program was performing, functioning then, what you were looking to achieve.
Absolutely, Kevin, and good image there. I think my nameplate is somewhere on that desk. I'm not sure. But yeah, 2016, going back, seems so far ago now, but I don't think that we were unlike many other businesses, right? And what I mean by that is no matter your size, referrals are a hiring strategy, right? And most companies, most businesses want those employees to make referrals. Our situation, I was with Mentor Graphics Corp in 2016 when we started working together, and we were hiring 30% through referrals. We had a really high referral submittal rate. And just to give you a little bit about Mentor Graphics at that time, one of 3 companies in their vertical in the industry that really had over 80% of the shares of that market. So it's electronic design automation software. So it was not uncommon to find employees that had experience with at least 2 of those top 3 firms. So you can see where employee referrals would tend to lend itself in that arena, right? If we're tossing or sharing resources, if you will, having experience at multiple companies, the referral program needed to be robust and a formal program, and it just wasn't. We started out when I got there, like I said, not unlike other businesses where you're receiving referrals in any manner possible, right? Phone calls, hey, I met, a great person. They'd be a really great employee for us. Receiving emails of resumes, having resumes slid under your office door, whatever means possible, right? We were accepting all of those referrals by many channels. And that's why you have that desk in that slide deck there looking the way it does, because it was just very disorganized. No formal policy or process. And then what happens is your recruitment team spends a lot of time on administrative work, trying to organize, right? Trying to sift through the chaos and really understand and screen those resumes, having to supply the recruiter that has an open rec that might match that, the capabilities and skills that you see on that paper. So we really had a need to bring a robust program into the fold that was global in scope, that would help us with a lot of these challenges that we were facing.
Got it. Yeah. And really with an unorganized program that you guys were experiencing, I mean, really from a user experience, an employee experience, it just doesn't lend itself to a great employee experience, right? Because, the expectations from their standpoint aren't ideal, and in turn can obviously hurt their motivation even to continue to participate in the employer referral program, right?
Absolutely, Kevin. Really good point. That user experience and setting expectations, right? I think that's what having a formal program and policies benefit, the benefits come from that.
And because it wasn't organized, employees were almost really just kind of making what I guess we would term as general referrals, some rec specific referrals maybe, but more or less they were just being fed into like a general referral bucket, right? And then how did that impact the administrative burden you guys were dealing with?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not to say that we didn't have the typical button that says refer a friend next to all of our openings. We certainly did, and you could refer to specific openings. But why should an employee take the time to go on the career portal and look at our openings and sift through and find something that matches their neighbor that they want to get a job, right? So we had a lot of, again, just that big general referral bucket. It's not to say that the referrals that they submitted had general skills, but it was just everything coming into one bucket. And so the admin burden that we're speaking of on the recruiters is taking time away from them to recruit, right? Because now we have to organize by capabilities or skills and sift through this big bucket. And, like I said, first of all, organize it. Then now you're having to understand what all recs are on every recruiter's plate, because now you have to get that in the correct hands of the recruiter. So a lot of screening and organizing. And then if you think on the back end, we do hire somebody. Now you're working with payroll, getting the payout, the rewards, all of that organized and managed, maintained. And then in the middle is probably the biggest administrative burden, which is the inquiries from those that did the referring, right? I submitted this, where are they at in the process? Have you got them interviewing with anybody? What position are they lined up to? If you think about the thousands of referrals that we had coming in, that's a lot of time to spend.
Absolutely, yeah. And being the type of organization you were, I mean, obviously you have requisitions that would be defined as harder to fill, like most companies, right? These positions that aren't the easiest to fill. And so were you guys looking to use referrals to help in that way as well?
Absolutely. We wanted a way to sort of target those harder to fill positions and grow our culture. So that's one thing that we wanted to formalize a process for, is to continue to grow culture of transparency and visibility to the business, so that the business, the employees, are part of that hiring strategy, right? And having our more niche positions, having a way to highlight them and be able to specifically target referrals for those positions. Absolutely, that was something we wanted to achieve.
Got it. Yeah, great. Thanks, Jody. Yeah, so back in 2016, as you mentioned, you guys were Mentor Graphics with about 6,000 employees. Help the audience understand kind of what's, what's a little bit about what's transpired since then,
The one constant is change, right? So building the solution for a 6,000 employee global base, right? Mentor Graphics. Fast forward not even 6 months, and Mentor Graphics is acquired by Siemens PLM software. So within the last 5 years, we have just grown tremendously through mergers and acquisitions, as well as our own hiring. But now we're 20,000 employees strong in over 30 countries. And with all of that growth and bringing in new companies, right, new businesses at an incredible rate, imagine the change. Had we not partnered, Kevin, back in 2016 and formalized a program and a process, I wouldn't be able to sit here today. I would still be trying to sift through all of those referrals that we get on a daily basis. So I can't say enough, ERC has been an incredible partner to us, and we would certainly, like I said, have a much bigger challenge on our hands today without that partnership. And it's made it much easier than on our own. 6,000 to 20,000 employees, obviously your referral rate is increasing as well. So it's been a great partnership.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right. So just to quickly summarize, so you're looking for a way to organize your program, to really create automation within the program, improve the overall employee experience, get more niche referrals, and then alleviate the administrative burden. So, those who were on the call today, every company is different. And in your guys' case, maybe, the audience has different needs. So we're curious to understand, what aspect of your employee referral program needs to be improved. So Ben, I'll pass it to you to kind of get some answers from those in the audience. But as you guys can see, is it A, automation, organization, B, better employee experience? Do you want to alleviate your administrative burden? Do you want more referrals or hires, or E, all the above? That was quick. All right, all the above. So similar boat then to what Jody and her team were experiencing, right? And yeah, every business is a little bit different. So maybe as some of those continue to come in, we'll be curious. But it looks like all the above is the winner. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Ben. Well, overall. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know, Jody, if you had a comment, but.
Yeah, I was just saying that is interesting that all of the above. I like to see that. It means folks are really wanting to revamp their employee referral programs, right? It's a key strategy today.
It's true. Well, kind of, I guess, if you are focusing on certain aspects of your program, or certain things that need to be improved, here are some of just the foundational reasons as to why it makes sense to improve your employer referral program, whether is it a wholesale change or certain aspects. Employer referrals, they are the best source of hire. They produce the best quality of hire. They're number one in performance, number one in time to hire, so you'll fill a position faster through referrals. They're also number one in retention. And on average, as you hire through referrals, they'll be retained nearly twice as long. And they're also the most productive source for diversity hires as we target that type of talent. So it's a great way to obviously complement your recruiting function. So I just wanted to quickly share some of those gems for you guys in the audience. So, all right. So we began our partnership back in 2016. Really, step one was building a dedicated and just completely white labeled portal for employees to actually go to make referrals and have an experience. So Jody, tell us a little bit about the portal and kind of what you guys did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of in love with our portal a little bit. So we wanted to have a central place where employees can go for all things employee referral program, right? To get any specific information that they may need. Obviously, having a centralized platform helps to organize the program. As you can see on the slide here, it's very much branded in your company's brand, your color palette. It's a very good user experience, both from an employee experience and also from a candidate experience, and your talent acquisition team or whomever is managing your referral program. So it's a really good user experience all the way around. We utilize the auto register feature, which allows employees to sign in via their single sign-on. So it utilizes their Siemens network ID and password, which obviously is very easy to use. You don't have a separate network ID and password to have to remember and go log into this site. Also, as you can see on the slide there, it's fully mobile. So good little nugget of a story here. Pre-pandemic, I would have sales reps providing me feedback that they love the fact that it's mobile, because just the network and connections that they make on a daily basis, when they're out in the field, they can go to their mobile device and sift through and find a position that they can then send a link to apply to whomever they're talking to at that moment. So being mobile friendly is very key. And again, through what you see on the slide there is actual live platforms of ours. So clean, very user friendly, and some key features of it. So the experience defaults to your user experience. So it defaults to your location, shows you the top jobs in your location, and then it expands out geographically. And then you do have access to all jobs to make referrals globally. No matter the location. It has features like auto sharing company jobs and the branding on your personal social networks, which is really huge. So just a very clean, I don't think I can say that word enough, because a lot of platforms aren't really clean, right? But it's very clean, and it's a central place, and our employees love it.
So Jody, obviously you guys are a global organization. We get questions all the time about, if we're talking to companies who are global, they're asking questions like, how do I manage a global program, right? What are some best practices, or what's the way to do this? We have all these different ideas and, different stakeholders who have different opinions. I mean, obviously with your global program, multiple currencies and countries, how have you guys managed reward values and currencies? And I guess, what can you share with the audience being a global organization?
Yeah, sure. Wasn't easy, but what we have done is, again, since the tool is based on your user location and experience, we view each job in local currency. So having over 30, being in over 30 countries, over 20 different currencies, I'm sure close to 30. I haven't done the math on that lately. But so we show and display in each local currency. We do allow cross-country referrals. I know a lot of companies do not, just because of the logistics and the payout and whatnot, but we do allow cross-country referrals because we are such a global company. And in doing so, what we have done is our payroll on the back end does the conversion. What I mean by that is, for instance, if there's an opening in the US and an employee that resides in the UK is the one that had referred someone that got hired, then it's the US reward, and payroll on the back end will convert for that UK employee on their payroll run. We've also gone one step further, and again, a culture, we're trying to build upon a culture. Mentor Graphics had the culture of a lot of referrals, and we're expanding that into all of our now Siemens software and all of our acquisitions. And that culture is a culture of having the business also realize the importance of helping build their teams, right? It's not just a talent acquisition or recruitment responsibility. We're here to help and enable and support that. But really, building the business is an ownership for everyone. So we want that transparency and visibility to the business. We want the business to know the priority that we set on building their team. So therefore, we have also taken it a step further in our reward system and have one reward amount per country. What I mean by that is we are showing that we don't value, say, a director of engineering with one department over an individual contributor in a different department. The reward for that referral hire is the same. So it also makes it easier on the back end on the conversion. The payroll team's not having to do multiple conversions every time there's a hire from a referral, but basically know that that's one amount per country.
That's great. Thanks, Jody. One of the key benefits you've seen is providing employees with updates on their referrals and specifically their candidate statuses. Tell us a little bit about how candidate status updates works and what it has meant to the business.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that talking about the administrative burden on the recruiters prior to having a formal platform and process, that middle piece of candidate status, right? I submitted a referral, give me updates, give me updates, give me updates. Our employees like to be spoon-fed regularly updated. I'm sure many other businesses are the same as well. And if you think about the volume of referrals we're receiving, that gets to be a lot of communication back and forth, not only updating the candidates, but also updating those that referred to those candidates. So the ERC platform, what happens is after employees have submitted a referral, the system automatically updates them on the candidate status, no matter where they are in the hiring process. So employees can go to the platform and see where their candidates are within this, the end-to-end process of that requisition. If the candidate's applied, if they haven't completed their application, if they're interviewing, if the rec has been closed because there's another candidate identified, so on and so forth. So that's taking that responsibility off of the recruiters, and it's been automated through the system. I mentioned all of our, we've grown so much recently. So as our referral volume has increased. So all of this admin work, you can imagine the relief and the time now given back to the recruiters or the TA team, right? It's huge. The benefit to this being automated is huge. We have about 17,000 referrals right now. So this would be a full-time job or two for one person, right? If we didn't have an automated system doing this for us. I have a team of about 50 recruiters around the globe. So now they can focus on their core functions, sourcing, recruiting. The fact that they have this time back has a bigger impact, not only within TA, but then the business as well. So it's a huge benefit.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jody. Earlier, we talked about general referrals and how they were having a negative impact on the business because, again, some of that admin burden of having to sift through them. Today, you do still like general referrals, but this is a feature that you can kind of easily turn on and off. So talk to us about why you like general referrals and also just kind of the flexibility that the program provides with kind of turning it on and off.
Sure. So general referrals, what I call are those that aren't specific. The referrer doesn't, understand what we might have open in the business, what jobs might be available. So they'll just put it in a general bucket, right? Here, HR, you handle it. We can turn this kind of general referral bucket, if you will, on and off very simply. There's no announcement that needs to go out to let employees know to start emailing some specific email address or, some new place to go to do this. We ourselves can go into the platform and it's simply clicking a button to start allowing general referrals. So it's super simple. And why we might turn it on and off is probably an even more compelling situation. So I mentioned that, the mentor graphic space was a pretty niche industry, electronic design automation. Now we're part of Siemens software, which is even bigger software, high-tech software in various industries and verticals and whatnot. So I've also mentioned that our culture is that of getting the business involved as part of the hiring strategy, right? So having a general referral bucket is almost cheating, right? We're giving the business an easy way out and kind of putting the onus back on the talent acquisition or HR teams to manage. So we generally have that general referral switch turned off so that the business has visibility and transparency into all openings and can make those referrals based on the skill sets and capabilities of the person they're referring and match it to a specific job. When we turn the switch on for general referrals, if you think of it like a dam, right? We're getting low on referrals, so we want to up that pipeline. So we lift the dam gate and allow general referrals to come through, that bucket to get filled, and then we shut it off again. So we use it as an extra sourcing channel and to build that pipeline of talent again, that talent acquisition can again screen, sift through and screen.
Okay, that's great. One of the keys to a successful employer referral program is being consistent in engaging your workforce. We've talked today about how you guys have grown so much over the years. And, talk to us about how you were able to just keep your workforce engaged and be consistent in getting those new employees on board.
Yeah, well, employee engagement, I think, is one of the biggest factors in going with EmployeeReferrals.com. Again, we wanted a program that, yes, organized, automated, great. Most programs do that. That's why they're there. But the employee engagement factor was huge for us. Again, building that culture, extending that culture to our newly acquired businesses and employees, that we want you to be part of the hiring solution, right? So instead of an afterthought of, as an employee, let me go to the career portal, let me see what's visible and open today and think if I have anybody that might fit any of these positions. Instead of being an afterthought, we wanted more to be a forethought, right? We want our positions, our openings in the business to be in the forefront of everyone's brain, really. And to do that, we have these push notifications and these engagement emails that we send to all employees as soon as they're newly acquired, and we have an email address on them. They're part of the solution now. So we're consistent. We're memorable in our engagement by sending this email newsletter twice a month to all employees. The newsletter, we can customize it with our own messaging. We can use some of ERC's template messages to the audience. And it's just been super, super helpful to, again, have the business engaged every month early on in all of the process of our openings.
Great. So this is kind of the long shot view of the newsletter. Help us understand what other pieces of content the employees receive as part of that engagement tool.
Yeah, so this is a live email that we've used in the past. So, you've got your message there at the top, catchy, vibrant picture and text, right? We've got our top 5 hot jobs. So available to that employee based on their location. they're going to see the top 5 jobs. In this newsletter, immediately they can see their referral history. So who have they referred previously, for what positions, and what the status is. There's a gamification to the program. That's going to be in this newsletter as well, so they can see where they are on the leaderboard. And everything in this email, this newsletter, is clickable. So we don't have the newsletter and then again expect the employee to go on their own and click into the platform. Anything they click through on the newsletter will take them immediately into the platform.
You mentioned gamification. Some of the things you guys are doing to leverage gamification principles are campaigns. Help the audience understand, like, what's a campaign and what does that do for you guys?
Yeah, so outside of the newsletter, sure, we have that with all of our jobs. But, I think when I mentioned change is constant, I think you can see we're ever changing here. We're always growing, we're changing things up. And, thereby in the business too, we have new departments being formed, new verticals. So when that happens, we wanted a way to be able to immediately promote a campaign, promote this new department so that we can send it out to all employees to, again, help them help us with our hiring strategy. So we can have these campaigns that are outside of this newsletter email in addition to, and it can be targeted to specific groups only. It can be targeted to the entire business. But again, we use specific templates. We have our marketing team that's also kind of taking some of ERC's templates and adding to it to customize them for us. And after the campaign's launched, then this newsletter supports that campaign narrative by reminding employees about the active campaign. So we can have, specific rewards for this campaign outside of our normal referral reward.
Okay, great. One of the things we talked about and you mentioned was just the ability to leverage social media to expand your employer brand. Tell us about how employees accomplish that and how that works.
Yeah, I'll start by saying this. When anyone thinks of Siemens, I'm sure it's not high-tech software that's forefront of your mind when you imagine Siemens. So as a talent acquisition and recruitment function, we also have that challenge in getting the external talent market to understand that, hey, Siemens does software. So we need to promote that and scream that from the mountaintops as much as possible. With your platform, we're able to take advantage of having our employees help with that, right? So we can promote our jobs on a larger scale by leveraging our employee base's connections on their social networks. They can opt in to auto share. I think like the slide says here, auto share our jobs. You can do it manually, but regular basis, you can auto share or manual at your own whim on platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, GitHub, others. So typically, in a recruitment world, you've got your recruiters posting on your job boards and LinkedIn. Hiring managers may share and post on LinkedIn, but really that's where it stops, right? Here we can have, if we take our 20,000 employee base, and they can also share those same jobs on many different platforms. Just think of the reach, right? Now you're expanding your employer brand and promoting yourself in a far bigger reach than previous. We've had about 10,000 social shares, and we've estimated that this has reached over 600,000 people, excuse me, because it's resulted in 13,000 applicants so far. So again, this effort continues to expand our brand, our social reach, and then obviously our talent pool.
Those are great data points. And it's cool that you guys have that visibility into what's going on, within the business and how employees are really assisting and supporting the recruiting function. What other ways has the system allowed you to run a data-driven program? Well,
I mentioned I was a geek, right? So having excuse me, having a data-driven program has helped tremendously. Obviously, data allows you to tell your story, right? And you can use the data to make decisions versus the making or having the assumptions to make the decisions for you, which was previous to having this formal program. So just a small little story here. Previous to having a formal process, we did hear a lot, hey, you've got thousands of referrals here. Why aren't we making more hires from our referrals? And, really it was only by my word of mouth to say, trust me, we're doing what we can. But now with this data-driven program, I can actually show, yes, we received thousands of referrals, and here's where they all were in the process. Here's the requisitions that they were aligned to. Here's the submittals to the hiring manager. Here's the hiring manager feedback from those interviews. And here's, their hiring status. So with this program, it has allowed us to be able to tell that narrative, which is, again, instead of word of mouth, you have the data to back it up. So it's been huge. In a normal situation of ours, lots of mergers and acquisitions, you would think that your referral system, your referral program is probably going to take a decline, right? Because we're bringing in so many employees that there's no way that you're going to maintain that same level of referrals. Actually, we have, which is a credit to this platform as well, because it, again, with the automation and the organization of everything, it just allows us to engage our employees and quickly get everyone ramped up. And we've been able to maintain that 30% referral rate.
That's awesome. Well, Jody, thank you for telling the story. So just to kind of summarize and wrap this up for the audience, let's go over just kind of some of the things that, in summary, what you've been able to achieve over the last 5 or so years.
Yeah, so we came in, we knew we wanted a global program, right? So it's very easy to expand outside your normal country boundaries with ERC. All of our acquisitions also being global and changing the landscape of our business. Having a dedicated referral platform and partner that auto engages employees and gives them instant access has made a big difference. It's easy to plug the new employees into the organized program, as opposed to, back in the day, we would have had a lag period, right? We would also have had those paper resumes being passed around. So ERC has helped bring us into the modern era, and not only into the modern era, but having referrals be part of that hiring strategy and at the forefront of our employees' minds. The second one there, automation, absolutely. So not only considering the amount of money saved from just simple time savings, but what that time represents is recruiting. In this day and age when, recruiting is very difficult with the labor shortage and whatnot, technology has had a huge impact on our business because it allows the recruiters to focus on what they need to. So the automation that the platform brings has been really critical for us. Organization as well. Going back to that first slide where the chaos was on the desk, right? Having a centrally branded portal, one-stop shop, if you will, for all employees to go to share jobs, to get candidate status updates, all while providing all the data we need to run that data-driven program. And EmployeeReferrals.com being a partner, a true partner to us, I can't say enough about. And top-notch customer service, which is a dying art these days. We have a dedicated account rep that we can turn to, and it has helped us through all of our challenges, because it's not been easy with all of our growth, all of our acquisitions. They've been agile, flexible, helping us map out best practices, just really been there through it all. and a great partner. I'm really glad and happy for our partnership, and that we started this back in 2016, Kevin.
Thank you, Jody. All right. Well, Cindy, maybe we'll send it back to you for any questions that the audience may have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jody and Kevin. It's so interesting because I've been jotting down notes, and Jody, you kind of rehashed some of the buzzwords for me. You know, the turning off and on those general referrals sounds like it was a huge assistance for you all, helping on that overhead. I think you, Jody, I think you said it. The work that would have normally been created could have been 1 to 2 FTEs. You talked about gamification. I know, you know, people want badges, they want rewards. Like, I loved that too. Talking about the leveraging the brand with the social media and the data-driven software. I was like, hit. And then you kind of just summarized that here at the end. So super interesting, and hopefully it grabbed the attention of our listeners too. So for our listeners, you all, if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot those in for Kevin or Jody. But to kick us off, I'll ask a question here first. With all of the TA tools that companies have to choose from today, where does referral technology land on the list of importance? And I thought it was really interesting, Jody and Kevin. Jody, you mentioned that you kind of started this 5 years ago. So had you already had a CRM at that time?
Yeah, it's a great question. We did not have a formal CRM in place. We did have, and you know, I am speaking from a global perspective. We did have a few ATSs, not one central ATS. I say a few and I smile because as we grew, that number of ATSs also grew, right? Every company we acquired has their own. So to go back to your first question on where does employee referral technology land on the list of importance, if I heard that correctly, I would say it really depends on your individual business. However, with the landscape of recruiting today, with the the labor shortage that we find ourselves in, with the supply and demand where it is, I would think that any company would benefit from having a very robust referral platform. Yes, we invested 5 years ago, and that investment has paid off tremendously. I think I mentioned, I couldn't have predicted the change that me personally and our business has gone through in the past 5 years. And I couldn't imagine where I would be sitting today with referrals and our hiring strategies had we not made that investment 5 years ago. So I would say if you don't have a formal program today, I would sit down and seriously have a discussion with your budget holders, your CEOs, your C-suite, and talk about hiring strategy and talk about everything that I just mentioned here today and how that could do nothing but benefit your business.
Yeah, and thanks for giving a shout out or a call out to specifically what can you do to begin this journey of change. As you said, you all started this about 5 years ago, and I can hear it in your voice too, but I love that it has been such a payoff for you. That's awesome and good to hear. So you also mentioned it, and you summarized this too. You had said, yes, EmployeeReferrals.com has been a great partner. If you had dedicated internal resources, could you have done this on your own? Would that have been a possibility?
Sure, absolutely, with enough resources, right? And things. But I could have turned to our IT team or our HR IT team to create a solution, absolutely. And then I think where the benefits come in would be post-launch. So yes, we could create something and get it launched, but now post-launch, the maintenance of our own system, the changes, the updates, the upgrades, what ERC provides, and not just provides, but in a positive way, the benefits outweigh doing that on our own.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we heard you say there, the benefits outweigh doing it on your own. Absolutely. So I think we caught that there at the tail end. I guess another question I would have, and you may have mentioned it, Jody, and I apologize if I missed it, but what ATS or applicant tracking system do you use? And does this technology integrate with what you were using? Does this platform integrate with all applicant tracking systems?
Yes, it's a great question. When we started, as I mentioned, we had many applicant tracking systems. And just with the nature of our business, you know, the acquisitions, that's ever fluid. So ERC does integrate with major applicant tracking systems, and the majority of them, I believe, I'll let Kevin speak to that. And we are now, Siemens Software is now centralized on one applicant tracking system globally, which is owned by our parent company, Siemens AG, out of Germany. So therefore, any integrations that Siemens Software needs with the tool is not yet available, but it's from our side. It's not from ERC's side. So we work with ERC on the back end. And another way that they have just really supported us is we work with them on the back end, and they have developed some type of, I'll call it a special program to help us interface with our ATS in that manner. Kevin, did you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, we integrate with all major ATSs, so chances are you're good to go.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I hear you, Jody, having to, you know, that when you moved through this process, having tons of different ATS through acquisition and being able to condense and then work with ERC to integrate, that's pretty incredible. And I know it's a journey and a lot of work. I've been there, so that's awesome. I'm just looking, and folks out in the audience, I know you're listening intently and probably digesting this information. It's such great information, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot those in for us. I do have one more for you, though. You did mention, and I think I have this right, I think you said 13,000 applicants through social shares. I think you had mentioned that. How many of those applicants through those social shares have you actually hired? Do you have statistics on that or any data on that?
I do. And of course I do. We have a data-driven program now, right?
I know you do.
So yeah, right now we have about 100 hires from those 13,000. So, you know, that might seem pretty low to some. We do still have about 25% of those applicants that are going through the process, so the screening and interviewing, et cetera. We know that candidates aren't going to be hired from the referrals at an alarming rate through the social shares. But what we feel we also gain from that, I mentioned kind of an identity crisis with Siemens being known as a high-tech software company. The benefits that we're gaining is also in that promotion of our brand, right? So now we have our employees being our brand ambassadors, and we're super pleased with those results. I mean, 13,000 applicants from our employees alone sharing on their social site. So that's also helping us spread the word about our company.
Yeah, and that's huge. You know, the two I had mentioned my ring of you know, words that I was kind of collecting as you were chatting, and highlights for me. And yeah, gamification and social media are two huge incentives, or proactive, or whatever terminology you want to use with that, to push things forward. So that's awesome that has been a success for you. And you all, before you all joined the webcast, Jody and I were chatting about Siemens and how big Siemens can be, and that this is the software company, which there's many different companies related to Siemens. So awesome that you can use social media to really enhance the brand of you as a software specialty. So I love that too. Well, you all, I just want to throw it out one more time. Jody, Kevin, anything final before we close out here? We've just got a few minutes left. Anything you wanted to share before we hop off?
I just appreciate taking the time, allowing me to tell our story. And I'm happy if anybody reaches out to me with any specific questions, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, and happy to chat if needed.
Yep, same goes here. I feel the same way. Thank you, Jody, for taking your time and telling your story. Those in the audience, thank you for your time. We certainly encourage you to, take a look at your recruiting function, and if employer referrals as a source is something that you see value in, we certainly encourage you to take action, whether that's just on your own or through a partner like us. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Jody and Kevin. And you heard Jody talk about how valuable ERC was as a partner. So hopefully you all heard that in the audience a few times there. Well, thank you so much, Jody and Kevin. It was really a pleasure to speak to you today, and what a cool journey to follow after all of those years, and to hear the success story out of that as well. So thank you for your top-notch education here today for our listeners. And for all of you out there, just a reminder that today's webcast has been approved for HRCI and SHRM credit, as well as for HCI recertification. Your credits for attending this webcast will soon show up in your My HCI profile under the transcript tab. While you're there, don't forget to check out hci.org for even more insights, as well as information on our certifications and events. I, of course, would like to say one more time to both Kevin and Jody as a thank you so much for being here with us today, spend this hour with us. And of course, Kevin, to your company, to the good people at EmployeeReferrals.com. We really appreciate your time as well. And finally, to you all out there, our webcast viewers, thank you again. I can't thank you enough in such a busy week for spending your hour with us. We will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.